I have been going through a huge purge. I know if you watch me, you probably are thinking, when are you going to quit talking about the purge? Well, I'll quit talking about the purge when the damn purge is done, because it is something of a magnitude I've never had to deal with before. And I don't know what's coming next, because I'm like, a person being led through a haunted house. And I never know when I'm going to be pushed around the corner and into the arms of the boogeyman. It's been a rough time because I don't really know what to expect. I was sitting outside under my gazebo, as I always do. And I started thinking of a couple things that I really had thought were going to be part of my life. Like the kind where you don't question it. You know how you question things sometimes and you think, could that really happen? These were like, didn't have to question things. And I found myself just kind of shrinking is what it felt like. I felt like I was shrinking into like a sad little balled up kid. And I said out loud, but I had such hopes. And they all just went away. I was feeling all those disappointments, all the things I had tried and not done well at. And I say it that way rather than failed because, a lot of people believe that there is no such thing as failure. These are all just growing experiences. And maybe they don't go exactly the way we want them to, but we learn something from it, so that's not a failure. But I was thinking about all these things that I thought I could make a success or could be at least half-ass successful at. That just like poof went away. And I had to admit defeat, basically, and walk away from. Well, I'm coming around to that, thinking about nothing really is bad about a failure, because a failure isn't really a failure if you're learning. But still, I was thinking today about a couple of things that do hurt when I think about how you really believed in them. You really believed in them and thought they were possible. And I was tearing up. But that's part of purging, isn't it? What was so different that was healing rather than just more expression of sadness or disappointment in myself or whatever it was. Well, this is it. This is why I wanted to share it with you, because it's surprising to me. You know how, like when, I don't know, a romance goes bad and you're sad, you're sad. Maybe you've even been sad to the point your friends are like, oh, geez, I wish she would quit being so sad, But if someone asks you about it, which, that's kind of ballsy when you know that someone's really hurting, but people do that. But you know how some people will ask, well, what went wrong? How come you and Jerry aren't together anymore? And you come up with something like, oh, I was too clingy, or I expected too much out of Jerry and he just put an end to it. When someone asks you why you're feeling kind of under the weather or down, you come up with a reason why, oh, it's just part of life and I'm a big girl and I can handle it. Instead of saying, but I had such hopes. And they all just went away. We just don't want to admit how much things hurt sometimes. And so we justify them, come up with reasons why we should be okay with it. We don't allow ourselves to feel the hurt. And for some reason, me admitting that out loud today just made the hurt start to compress. Because I finally allowed myself to feel and express what I really was feeling. You know, instead of, oh, I'm sure it's just because I'm not pretty enough, or oh, I'm sure it's because I'm not smart enough. You know how we justify stuff? Often knocking ourselves down? And to just admit it like I did today was freeing and healing. And so I wanted to pass that on. You don't have to come up with reasons about why it's okay, or why you shouldn't be this disappointed, or why you shouldn't be this hurt. You don't have to do any of that. Really, the best thing you can do for yourself is to allow yourself to admit how hurt you are. And then you can start healing. But as long as we're brushing it under the rug, we're not admitting that there's anything to heal. So what happens? Not healing. Anyway, I just thought that was interesting. Wanted to share it today. If it's not interesting, so sorry, because here you are still at the end. So you got suckered into watching to the, oh, I'm not going to say that. You know that thing about how the opera ends? That's just not cool. But here you are. You watched all the way. I thank you for that. I know I'm a bit much to take for some people, but apparently you can handle me. And I appreciate that.